This is Corella again. I hope you had enough time to at least look at the verbs and have an idea what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about pronominal verbs. Now, pronominal verbs are different in Spanish than in English. And I find that a lot of students who speak English really don't know what pronominal verbs are even in English. So I find that it's easier first to explain what it is in English so that when the student is trying to learn how do you say it in Spanish, they'll have something to hold on to. Okay, now pronominal verbs are verbs that take the reflexive pronoun. Okay, and the reflexive pronoun in English is myself, yourself, himself, not his self. A lot of Americans say his self. That is incorrect. It's himself, herself. When you go plural, the F becomes a V, and then you add an ES. Ourselves, yourselves. Yourself is singular for you, and yourselves, because if you remember you, the subject pronoun, personal pronoun, is singular and plural, and the last one, themselves. Now, pronominal verbs in English are some pronominal verbs. There's different classifications. Let me start with that. I'm getting myself mixed up here. There are different classifications. One classification is reflexive verbs. Now, reflexive verbs usually mean that the subject and the object are the same. That is, that the action refers back to the object, to the subject and the object. Okay. For example, which is not very nice, right? I killed myself. So I, the subject, the action is kill, right? And I didn't kill someone else. The action refers back to what I did to myself. I killed myself. Both Spanish and English have reflexive verbs, but the difference is which verbs are reflexive. They're not the same. And another thing, too, is that Spanish uses reflexive verbs much more than English does. Some of the verbs that are used as reflexive verbs in Spanish, if they're used as reflexive verbs in English, there's a subtext there that the speaker, if they don't speak the language, if the speaker doesn't speak the language very well, doesn't realize the subtext. For example, in Spanish you say me baño todos los días, right? I shower, I take a bath, or I bathe myself every day. And you use bañar, because it's bañarse, when you're talking about what you do to yourself, right? Or me acuesto, no? I go to bed or I lie down, right? If you use those verbs in English reflexively, the subtext is, for example, me baño, okay, or me bañé hoy. The subtext is that you don't normally bathe yourself, and that for whatever reason it was extraordinary, so therefore you want me to know that the person who normally bathes you didn't bathe you, you bathe yourself. But if you just normally bathe yourself every day, you would just say, you know, I took a shower, or I took a bath, or I washed up. But you don't make it reflexive. Because when you make it reflexive, you're telling me indirectly that you do not normally do this. You're doing it because it's extraordinary. The person who would use that reflexively, like me bañé hoy, right? A little girl or a little boy who normally has his mother or father bathe him, But for whatever reason, you know, he says, today, no, mama, no. Me voy a bañar solo, right? I'm going to do it by myself. I don't need your help. So he comes downstairs, and the little boy comes downstairs, the little comes and says, look, mommy, look, daddy, I bathed myself. Me bañé. I bathed myself today. That would be okay. Because he's saying that normally you do it, but I'm becoming a big boy, I'm becoming a big girl. Or someone, let's say, who is old enough to bathe him or herself, but maybe because of sickness or because of disability, they haven't been able to do so. And the person says, no, 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 to the nurse or to the family member. No, 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 I don't want you to bathe me today. I'm well enough now, I can bathe myself. Otherwise, you don't use it. But there are verbs that you do use when you're talking about when the subject and the object are the same person. So I put on the board here, that's why I gave about 10 seconds before I came on in front of the video to give you time to look at these verbs. These are verbs which are normally reflexive in English. That is when the subject and the object are the same. And I put two here because that means it's in the infinitive form. So all these verbs are with two. So to assert, to blame, to bruise, to commit, to convince, to deny, to dirty, to distinguish, to encourage, to enjoy, to exert, to hurt, to kill, to market, to pay, to repeat, and the last one, to turn oneself in. Right? And so all of these have used the reflexive pronoun. So I assert myself. He is always blaming himself. She loves to distinguish herself. We pay ourselves. I repeat myself, and that is the truth, by the way. I repeat myself a lot. They convinced themselves that they did not do the crime. In the next video, I'm going to show you the verbs that are usually used in the reflexive, but in Spanish. And you really can't the ones that are used in Spanish and the ones that are used in English are different. And you really can't mix them up because you're saying something that you don't realize that you're saying in one language versus the other. And in English, if you use the reflexive incorrectly, you're saying to someone an action that normally is assumed to be done by the person that is extraordinary that you did it. Okay, so once again, this is Coralla Ficklin McLean at istudyguys.com or ipedience.com. There's a lot of different websites we have a network. So if you go to istudyguys.com, you can enter into the network. So I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds to look at these verbs, and if you need to, copy them down. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.